There are a lot of considerations when it comes to choosing a career path. One of the most important is matching your innate personal interests and characteristics with the traits required to succeed on the job. So if, for example, you're the type of person who loves solving problems, has a positive attitude, good eye-hand coordination, enjoys working outdoors, and also likes the ability to work at heights, MCC just may have your ticket. I'm your host, Kent Pavelka, and coming up on Metro and More, you'll learn all about the college's utility line program.
Greetings from the set of Metro and More at Metropolitan Community College, serving more than 50,000 students with over 120 programs at our 8 locations in the daytime, evening, weekends, or online.
Hi again, everybody. I'm joined in the studio with Rich Newcomer and Greg Bapst, utility line instructors at MCC. And we're here to talk about the utility line program. Rich, good to have you back on the program.
Thanks, Kent.
And you brought a partner in crime today. Greg Bapst, good to have you too.
Thanks for having us
on the show. Greg, introduce yourself. We had Rich on the show before.
My name's Greg Bapst. I'm been here at the college about 5 years now. It's my first time on the program, so just thanks for having me.
You bet. And Rich, how long have you been working here now?
Well, I have just completing my 16th year at Metropolitan Community College. So, as an instructor.
Yeah, let's have you both chime in here and give us, first of all, just an overview of the utility line program.
Okay, well, the utility line program at Metro prepares young men and women to enter the field of, say, working for an OPPD type of company, an electric utility, or a contractor, or a rural electric, and they will be doing the job of providing electricity, building electric lines, maintaining electric lines, and restoring power when there are outages and those kinds of things. So we prepare students to enter that field.
And Greg, Rich talked about all those different types of employers. So which, is there one that requires, that you're finding needs more people than others in those areas, or?
Well, I worked for a contractor and a small municipal, so one that needs more, probably not one leaning one way or the other, but the construction trades are, generally there are a lot of employment opportunities there.
Yeah.
Many of our students start with a contractor, and an electrical contractor is doing work for the utility company.
I see.
Usually it involves new construction, and that's where a lot of line technicians get their start. And then many of them then will, transfer over or hire on with a utility company later on in their career, and some of them stay with the contractors. They really enjoy it either way. But there's a pretty good need in both areas. There's an aging workforce, so a lot of guys are retiring and they need to fill those spots.
Yeah. So when you're driving down the street or looking out your window and you see somebody who's climbed up a line or a pole, you're not sure if it's a utility or a private contractor necessarily unless you see the truck.
Right, exactly. Right, that's right. Yeah.
So the degree, tell us about that. Associate of Applied Science, right?
Right. All of our students, the only degree offering we have is an Associate of Applied Science degree. So the students, what they need to do to complete that or to earn that degree is, first of all, complete all of the utility line classes, which consist of about 12 courses, individual courses, plus an internship. And then they also need to complete 6 general education classes, which would be their math, their English, those types of classes.
So it's a degree, not a certificate? Or?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you were going to go full bore at this, how long would it take you to get this accomplished, you think?
We have 2 different options. We have a weekday option that they come to class 4 days a week, generally 4 to 5 hours per day for 4 days. And then they go that from the fall quarter through the summer quarter.
And
so
you get all
so
done
they
by
can
then?
get the associate degree in 1 year's time, but it is a lot to do in a year, but it can be done.
Sure.
And then we have another option. It's a weekend option for guys that have older guys that have jobs and families, and they come on Saturday classes, and that generally takes them 18 months.
18 months, and you get those requirements out of the way at the same time.
Yeah, a lot of the students, well, we have a variety of things that happen. Some of the students come into the utility line classes having already completed their general education requirements. Some of them will do their general education requirements at the same time, and that's when Greg talked about it being a pretty big load. That's a big load, but we have some real motivated students that do that. And then there will be some students that might finish their general education requirements after they've completed the utility line requirements.
I would guess that students who can go pretty much full time are the younger students right out of high school, and the other ones probably have jobs, right?
Yes. More typically, yeah.
So tell us about the experience. Your classroom is not just in the classroom here, right? In a sense.
Yeah, no, our classroom, I mean, we do have classroom work, but probably at least 75% of the learning takes place with hands-on, climbing poles, working with the conductors, doing all the work involved in our training area. So we're outside doing the work. That's our main classroom.
Yeah, but there is a significant amount of traditional classroom work, right?
Our program is a hybrid program, so we have online learning as well as in classroom. So a lot of their academic work is done online, and when they come to class, like Rich said, probably about 20%, 25% is spent in the classroom, so we can spend more time outside because it is a outdoor physical job, so they can be trained that way.
25% of the coursework could either be done all online or all in the classroom or a combination of both?
Kind of a combination, yeah. It kind of depends on the course. For instance, we have a few courses that are more theory related, and those are more in the classroom. And then most of our other classes, however, are more hands-on related, and those are out in the training area.
So give us just a little taste of what that classroom stuff is about. You just talk about theory.
Well, one of the classes is electrical theory. So you're just learning about how electricity works, the quantities of electricity, how it reacts in a circuit, those types of things. And then another theory course we have is a transformer theory course. Transformers are kind of the heart of the electric system. They change the voltages to what we need in our houses, and there's a lot of different ways that they need to be connected to get the proper voltages, and that's more of a theory, more in classroom one as well.
And I'm guessing here, correct me if I'm wrong, but you do these theory classes and then back it up with outside showing them
Then we apply it.
what you've taught them, right? So does the classroom part of this all come at once, or does it go throughout the entire year if a guy is going to go?
It's kind of throughout the entire year. Yeah, as we get, if for the traditional students that are going full-time, and they're going 4 days a week, they start in the fall quarter, and we have one of the theory classes in the fall, and then we have another one in the winter quarter. By the spring quarter, we spend most of our time outside, hands-on in our training area, where they're just kind of honing their skills.
You know, I know one thing you emphasize is that you're always customizing and updating the curriculum. Talk about what that's all about. Obviously, there's a need to do that, right?
Yeah, well, we need to keep up to date with the latest trends in the industry. So we talk to our partners about, what different types of equipment, what different types of methods are you using. OSHA standards will change from time to time, and we have to keep updated on that as well, so that we are preparing them to, follow the correct safety rules and procedures when they do get out on the job. So we don't just make wholesale changes all the time. We just kind of are continually tweaking the curriculum to keep it current.
Based on the needs of the industry.
Exactly.
Current needs of the industry. I mean, are there a lot of changes? Does it change a lot?
I wouldn't say the changes are great, but some of the changes we have are just the equipment that we use. And one of the good things about our program is that the college is very supportive of our program, and we have updated our trucks and equipment that we use to be very competitive with other schools regionally.
Yeah. You talk about equipment. Trucks, what else is involved?
We use digger derricks to dig holes and set poles, and bucket trucks, and we have backyard machines, so if you have a pole in your backyard that you can't access with a big truck, we have that equipment too. Underground equipment, a lot of power lines are beneath, not overhead.
You
so
bet.
we have excavating equipment and trenchers and things of that.
So you do that
Like
work
that
too.
nature.
I mean, you train to do that kind of work, the underground part too.
Yes.
Yeah. That's something that a lot of people, if their neighborhoods aren't already done that way, some people will pay to have that done, right?
Occasionally, yeah,
Yeah.
it's rather expensive.
Yeah, I imagine so. So you are 2 of the 3 full-time faculty, is that
Correct,
right?
yes.
So you got another,
Yeah, Tim Bowling is our other full-time faculty member.
and you mentioned you worked for a small private company,
Small municipal.
municipal, up in northeast part of the state, or
Actually close to Omaha and Wahoo. is
Oh,
where
okay. for how long?
I worked there 12 years.
12 years. How about you, Rich? How long ago was it? that you-
A long time ago. I started my career right out of high school with Lincoln Electric System, just to our west here, and I worked for them for about 8 years, and then I made a little career shift, and then shifted back into the utility industry as a line technician, and I worked for a rural electric, Norris Public Power, that bases out of Beatrice, and I worked for them for about 19 years.
So you talked about your little career shift. You couldn't stay away from the industry, though, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah, I just found out that, I should have just stuck with what I started with.
Well, the reason I bring it up is between the 3 of you, there's 68 years of experience,
Yeah.
or almost 70 years of
Yeah.
experience actually in the field. So that's important that everybody understand that these guys have been out there doing the deed.
I think that's one of the biggest advantages of coming to Metro Community College for the utility line training is we probably have the most experienced staff. And in addition to the full-time staff experience, we also hire part-time adjunct instructors, and they are usually retirees from OPPD with more experience than any of us even have. So we really have a good handle on what the students need to learn in order to be successful in their careers.
How many adjuncts in addition to you 3?
3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
You already mentioned that is the ultimate eventually working for a power company, or would you say?
It really depends on the individual. When you work for an electrical contractor, you tend to travel a little bit more with your work. Some students, some guys really like to do that, and they might stick with that. If you want to be more home-based every night, then you usually want to go with a utility company like OPPD or Lincoln Electric System.
Can you expect the same relative kind of compensation over a career?
Well, it all comes down, employer specific. Some of the utilities may pay more initially, but the guys that travel and contract can earn more with overtime and per diem type compensation.
Yeah. The reason I mentioned the utility companies, these are partnerships. I mean, in terms of working with MCC and the utility line program, OPPD. You got Mid-American Energy, NPPD, all 3.
Yeah. Yeah, where the partnership really comes into focus for us is we go to the individuals that work at these different utilities, and we're constantly asking them what we need to know to teach our students, things that change. And then another big part of the partnerships with the various utilities, and there's a lot of them. All the rural electrics in Nebraska and the Iowa area, are pretty good about participating with us, but our students need to do an internship in order to graduate.
Gotcha.
And they typically will do that during their summer quarter. And these are the places they go to do their internships. And it's a paid internship. They really, they get to take what they've learned over the past 9 months or year, and then they get to apply it in this internship. And a lot of our partners are real good about hiring our interns.
At that point in time in the in the coursework? Is that about all you're doing is the internship, or are you still coming to class at that time?
The traditional students, they are just on their internship,
Yeah.
and the Saturday students will still come to class on the weekends. But like Rich said, it is a time to apply everything you've learned, and it's your first step into the industry. So
Let's talk a little bit about some of the special events. There's a national, what you call rodeo, right? And then MCC has a rodeo.
Yeah,
too.
there's a college rodeo, college lineman rodeo.
We've got some video of that too.
The college lineman rodeo is kind of an invitational. It's kind of a national event, and schools from all over the region and area will participate in that. Just to explain a little bit about what a lineman rodeo is.
We're looking at it, right?
Yeah, it's just what you do is you just set up different events that mimic a typical job that might be done during any day in a utility lineman's day. And then we set that up to where they compete to get that job done correctly. And they're usually jobs that are only going to take them between 4 and 8 minutes or so to do.
Now these guys climbing up there, are there rungs for them to step on, or what? How's that work?
no, they actually, what you see that around his leg there, it's called a gaff or a climber, and they strap that around the calf and then underneath the arch of your foot, and there's a spike that goes in the pole. So
I
they're
see.
shoving the spike in the wood, and then they're held up by those, and then they keep from going backwards by their fall restraint and body belt around their waist.
We talked about liking to work in heights. How much of an impediment is that to the average person? You can say you like to work, or you think you would, but then when you have to do it, what's that like for most students?
It's probably the reason we have a dropout rate in the first quarter is they're interested in the program, they come and they see what they have to do, and then when they get 20, 30 feet off the ground, they decide if they like it or not, if it's for them or not.
Yeah, wow. I'm afraid to put up a tree swing, but that's why people do what they do, because they enjoy it. So there's the MCC rodeo, and then there's the national rodeo.
Right. You want to talk about our local rodeo, our MCC rodeo?
Well, the MCC rodeo is strictly current utility line students, and they compete in four physical events and a written test, and we host it annually, and it's always welcome to the public. And we have former students come back and judge the events, so it really kind of creates a family atmosphere of former and current students and the support for each other.
And the competition, I assume, you're trying to get it done faster, but then there's a safety issue with that too, I'm sure, obviously.
Fast, safe, and accurate.
Yeah.
They have to do it accurately, or they get deducted points. And speed is always an issue in the event, but it's not the biggest issue.
Gotcha.
You need to do it correctly and safely.
Accurately, safely, and then the time is the third
Sure.
tiebreaker, so to speak.
You mentioned when we started our chat that men and women. I'm just curious how many females are interested.
We currently only have one in our program, and it's typically we have one or none. So it continues to be a male-dominated trade.
But no reason it has to be.
No, none at all. There's no reason that a properly motivated female can't do this work. Yeah.
Well, I mentioned that.
And we've had some successful graduates that are still working out in the field. So
Yeah, we have a disparate, number of viewers, or maybe some females watching today that are interested. So, talk about employment opportunities. We talked about that a little bit. The workforce is aging,
right.
and then another issue creating demand is the infrastructure needing to be changed.
Yeah, and that's something that it's still kind of lagging, but all the power lines you see out there, they can only hold so much electricity, which isn't really the correct way to say it, but they do have a maximum capacity, and things are getting loaded pretty high. And over the next several years, there's going to have to be an increase in upgrading and building more capacity, and that's going to drive some of the employment nationwide. Also, there's a lot of wind farms that are being put up with the green energy, and those require power lines being built from the wind farm to get it into the grid. So there's that new construction going on.
Yeah, that's a good point, because you think about alternate energy development, and you kind of assume that that's going to, you know, put this industry in a situation where it's not needed, but that's not true.
Well, it impacts it, but no, there's still the wind energy still is providing, it's generating power that goes on the power grid, just like the traditional coal-powered or nuclear-powered generators do.
I guess what I'm saying is there's always going to be a need for utility lines.
I don't see a future for a long time without it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not in the immediate future, no.
But beyond that, I mean, do you see it ever?
Well, as long as they have to actually physically send the energy down a conductor, a power line, there will be the need for linemen,
Yeah.
and it's not like radio waves where you can just transmit it
Right.
like a cell phone. It's they're just not able to do that.
The idea that you could is kind of science fiction at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So, talk about some of the partnerships within the college that you guys work with others.
We our program is located in the Applied Technology, at the Applied Technology Center, Northwest Omaha, and the CDL, Commercial Drivers Program, is also out there, as well as the Diesel Technology Program and the Auto Collision Program as well. And it really works good. We have trucks, diesel trucks, that need to be maintained and repaired. The diesel program can have their students work on our trucks, so they get real life experience at working on things. The commercial driver's license program trains our students to get a commercial driver's license, which they need in order to go to work and drive the trucks on the job. So there's a real synergy there. We're kind of all helping each other out, and it works very well out there.
Yeah. So it's a fascinating, it's a great facility. It really, really is. So what kind of personality, I referred to this when we started the show, what kind of person is usually interested in this field? And what characteristics are needed?
Generally one they have to be able to work outside, obviously. Somebody self-motivated, hard worker, enjoys working with their hands. And then also, it's not just a physical job, there's a technical aspect. It's not just constructing lines. There are that aspects of the job, but there's also troubleshooting and problem solving and that aspect as well.
And I would say the personality of the people that I've noticed that seem to be very good at this work, they're maybe a little cocky.
Really?
Maybe a little risk taker. Kind of that mentality, because
Cowboys?
you're kind of like that. Yes, exactly. They seem to be the people that really enjoy the work because you're doing it 50, 60, 70 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And that appeals to that type of personality.
Probably one of the reasons they call it a rodeo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what you're saying is there's kind of a thrill to it.
There is, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you guys miss that? Or do you still get up there?
At my age, I don't miss it.
And I still get up
He
there.
still gets
Do
up
you?
there.
Well, what's the kick?
It's just, well, one is staying physically fit,
Yeah.
being able to do it and still prove to yourself that you can do it. And then it also helps me show the students exactly a certain technique that's helped me through the years, and I use that, and kind of shows them and makes them a little more at ease.
And when I worked, I can remember telling people, meeting people, telling them what I do, and there was a pride that I felt when they would say, "Oh, I could never do
Yeah,
that." So there's that aspect to it as well. Also, there's just a pride in a lot of, when the lights go out,
You
we
bet.
go to work no matter what the conditions or what time of day it is.
Public service.
Yeah, and there's a real satisfaction in turning the people's lights back on.
Yeah.
It's just a real satisfying feeling to know that you were able to help them out like that.
Kind of like first responders, you don't show your appreciation until you need it, and you've been served. So tell us, for folks who may be interested watching, the process of becoming a student.
Okay. Well, first of all, we have an application process. So if someone is interested in our program, we recommend that either contact us, and you can contact the instructors, or you can contact an academic advisor at the college, and they can either direct them to us or not. But if you go to our website, there is a link to apply. There's also a link just to get information, and we'll send out an information packet that just describes our program and how to get into it as well. But there's an application they can fill out, and once they fill out the application, they're not signing on the dotted line. It's really more for us to be aware that they are interested, and then we will contact them and see what they need and try to help them with their decision on whether to come in or not. And so it's really a pretty simple process.
Yeah. So is there a class, an initial class that one would take that, like you talked about, the dropout rate has to do with getting up on that pole for the first time?
We have an orientation as part of the whole process. When they fill that out, they come in, and generally 2-3 months before class starts, we have an orientation and kind of fit them for their tools that they'll need to have, those gaffs I mentioned, and the belts and that. And then just kind of ease questions that they have. But then the initial class that they'll take that first quarter is pole climbing.
Okay.
And electrical theory, amongst others. But that kind of gets you into whether you think you enjoy this business or not.
Occurs to me that it must be an exciting career from 2 points of view. We've been talking about kind of the macho feeling, that part of it. But then you've got to be almost like a trained electrician almost, don't you? Or is it that detailed?
Well, you need to understand how electricity works, and that's why the theory classes, I think, are so important, because electricity will not make a mistake. So you need to understand exactly what it's going to do to keep yourself safe.
Yes.
And we haven't really talked about that yet, but we really emphasize safety all the way through every class through the program. And that's, I think, another big advantage of starting this career in a school is you get started on the right foot, and you're thinking in terms of, how do I do this safely so I go home tonight?
You bet. Anything else you'd like to add? We've got about a minute left, and I want to make sure that we share everything you want to share.
Yeah, just that the faculty, we're all very open to being contacted. We will give a tour. We personally give tours of our facility and are happy to do that. Feel free to contact any one of us for a tour or for any questions you might have. We'd be happy to talk to them.
I would just say that, one good thing about our program is that this program will let you know if this industry is right for you. And some guys have went through it and they choose not to do it, but it definitely is a good representation of what the industry is.
And if you are cut out for it, you'll find out, and I assume it's
Right.
tremendously rewarding.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very good paying job, very good benefits. People make this their career.
Very good. MCCNEB.edu, and you can get there through the...
If you search the programs, career programs, applied technology programs, you'll find the link to the utility line technician program.
Rich, thank you. Greg, thank you.
Thank you, Kent.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us on Metro and More. Our goal is to better acquaint you with the mission, leadership, and the reach of the college. I'm Kent Pavelka for Metropolitan Community College. If you have comments or questions about the program, please email us at metrovision@mccneb.edu. Thanks for watching.
This has been a MetroVision production produced by Metropolitan Community College.